Welcome back to the Football Republic. If you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, thank you very much for joining us. This is our live reaction to the Euro 2016 England squad announcement. The squad has just been announced, Rory. Exciting times. There's some exciting names in there.
Yeah,
some shocking names as well.
There are a few shocks, but I think generally he's got it right, don't you think?
We're about to find out, Rory. We're about to find out. Can we get the England squad up on the screen here? Let me read it out here. So, the goalkeepers, Rory. We've got Fraser Forster, Joe Hart and Tom Heaton. That's to be expected. We knew that was coming.
Yeah, makes sense.
In defence, we've got Ryan Bertrand, Gary Cahill, Nathaniel Clyne, Danny Rose, Chris Smalling, John Stones and Kyle Walker. No Phil Jagielka in there, which is a name that maybe some people would have expected to be in there.
I think it's a correct decision. I really do.
Really? Based on his form this season? Or?
Yeah, just based on the player that he is. I think he's a good club player, but he's not international class.
That's only 3 centre-backs as well. Of course, Eric Dyer is in the squad. He, of course, can perform at centre-back,
yes.
But it's only 3 centre-backs, essentially.
Yeah, I think that's probably enough, like you say, with
Here's
the cover.
The goalies. There's the goalies, as we said, Fraser Forster, Joe Hart, Tom Heaton. Defenders. So, yeah, 3 centre-backs, but solid. Young players who've done well this season. They're on form. I'm glad to see Kyle Walker in there, as a Spurs fan, of course. Ryan Bertrand, ex-Chelsea man for yourself.
Yeah, European Cup winner.
He is indeed.
European Cup winner.
In the midfield, who have we got? Dele Alli, Ross Barkley, Fabian Delph. I'm surprised by that one.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Eric Dyer, Danny Drinkwater. Good to see him in there. He deserves to be in there on form. Jordan Henderson, of course, Adam Lallana, James Milner, Raheem Sterling, Andros Townsend, which is a bit of a surprising one, and Jack Wilshere. Now, this is the one that's probably going to be one of the most controversial names included in the squad. Hasn't played many games this season, Rory. I mean, where do you stand on this one? Do you think he deserves to be in the England squad for the Euros?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, I think that football should always be a meritocracy. I think that you should earn your place, and he hasn't done that. I'm not saying he's not a good enough player. I think Jack Wilshere is an incredibly gifted football player, but he hasn't had a chance to demonstrate that this season. I don't know what he's doing in this squad.
We did put the poll out on Twitter earlier. Does Jack Wilshere deserve to be in the England squad? 80% of our viewers said no. So I think
because he doesn't.
There. Yeah, there we go. There is the poll there, so you can see it for yourselves. Do we have the strikers, the forwards? Goalies, defenders have we gone through? We've got the old midfielders. And up front, who have we got? Wow, Marcus Rashford is in the squad. That is a shock. Harry Kane in there, of course. Wayne Rooney, Daniel Sturridge and Jamie Vardy, as to be expected. But Marcus Rashford.
I think it's good. I think it's a really good move.
Now, I'm assuming he's in there because of Danny Welbeck's injury. Unfortunately, he's out for up to 9 months now, we're hearing. Marcus Rashford has taken his place. That is...
I prefer that. Genuinely would prefer that, even as Danny Welbeck. Because I think that Rashford has that raw quality that we saw. A good example I can think of is Michael Owen in '98.
Yeah, okay.
You know, when a youth breaks onto the scene, they play without fear, they're direct.
He's the exciting young player to be in the squad.
Yeah.
I just think... There's some surprise names now. I wasn't expecting Rashford. Walker again is another surprise. Fabian Delph. I'm surprised that Delph managed to get in there.
Very surprising.
Drinkwater, I'm glad to see him in, as I said. Sterling hasn't had the best season, but he probably should be included. Andros Townsend is another one that's a bit of a shock.
It's a shock as well. I suppose it's to the... Yeah, I suppose he's left out Walcott.
Yeah, I don't think...
listen,
Theo Walcott does not deserve to be in the squad.
No, and Andros Townsend he's peaking at the right time. He's on the rise at the moment. He's played very well towards the tail end of the season. Scored a few goals that could have kept Newcastle up. It's a surprising one. I don't expect to see him to get too much game time, but it's a good option, particularly on that wing. It
sounds like when we talk about Jack Wilshere, it sounds like you maybe agree with the criticism of Roy Hodgson that sometimes he doesn't pick players based on form. Maybe the players who deserve to be there, he picks them based on maybe their reputation, the ones that maybe helped him out previously. Yeah. What do you make of that? When you see Townsend in there and Wilshere, it's hard to...
I disagree. I don't think it's a good way to manage. I think that a manager should evolve with every season and not simply base it on something that's happened previously. And like I bang on about it all the time, and I don't want to sort of bore people with the same old spiel, but it should be a meritocracy.
Hang on. I think we're about to be joined by a guest. Where are you coming in, Hugh? Which way are you coming in? I'm shuffling into the middle. I'll shuffle into the middle and try not to fall off the stage here. Hugh Wizzy joins us. This is a pleasure.
To say the least. What's going on,
Hugh, thanks for coming in.
Hi.
Pleasure.
So we're just reacting to the squad here. The surprise names we said: Andros Townsend, Marcus Rashford, and Jack Wilshere. First off, as an Arsenal fan yourself, Jack Wilshere. What do you make of this one? Because it's controversial. As I said, 80% of people are saying he shouldn't deserve to be in the squad.
It is a controversial one, especially seeing as he hasn't actually played that much football. I think he's had one start this season. However, I take out Arsenal bias and I look at what he does for England.
Okay.
And I have to say that, especially in recent times, he's really come to the forefront. He's very important to the creativity in the side. I think 6 Man of the Match awards in his last 7 England fixtures. That's not a joke, and it's not to be taken lightly by a team who really will struggle for creativity in midfield, I reckon, unless he's an option. I don't think he necessarily has to be, a starter. I suppose that's where the bias comes in. But I think he's done so much for England in recent times that it would be silly not to take him.
That's interesting. I think maybe that's the way Roy's thinking. I think it's not based on his form this season, but what he's done for Roy in previous friendlies and campaigns. Yeah,
that is definitely the logic that Hodgson is subscribing to. I'm just not convinced. To me, it doesn't sound fair. I think who would you take over Wilshere though? Is it someone like Mark Noble? Because we've got Danny Drinkwater in there, who was the name. I was thinking if Drinkwater got left out for Wilshere, I would have thought that's a bit unfair. Yeah. But who else could you really take over Jack Wilshere? Mark Noble's a name who's always mentioned, mainly by West Ham fans. But I'd say if you're judging it purely on the seasons that they've had, then you would have to go with Noble. I'm not suggesting for one second that Mark Noble is a better football player than Jack Wilshere. Of course, he doesn't have the talent and the creativity and the vision that Wilshere has. But in terms of the season that they've just had, and that is generally what this should be picked upon, I think that Noble would be in with a shout. Let's go to these questions here that are coming in on YouTube. Thank you very much for your questions. Submit them on this live stream. Daniel Buck said, Wilshere fit is our perfect com in qualification. Now, does he mean Cam? Centre attacking midfield, I assume. Where would you play Wilshere, Hugh, if you were Roy Hodgson, you're sitting out the team? Because you'd assume Rooney's probably playing in that number 10 position. Probably.
I like him in a more advanced role. I think it's actually where he is most dangerous. However, I suppose you have got that Drinkwater option. You have got deeper line midfielders there who can sit, but he is capable of playing that deeper role if Rooney is going to play at number 10. I just think he's very versatile, very intelligent. He can play on the left, right, in the middle, at DM. He's physical, aggressive. He really embodies what I want in an English spirit. And I think it'd be a real shame not to have him. Do you know, I agree with everything you said there. I think you're absolutely right. All of those qualities he has in abundance. Something's just dawned on me though. He is now going to have to play potentially 3 matches in a week. Yeah. And you mentioned that he's had one start all season. He hasn't finished 90 minutes all season.
How many games has he played for Arsenal so far then?
He started 1. And that was yesterday.
And that was yesterday.
Next question.
Appearance last week.
Here we go. Fred Stevens on YouTube saying, I cannot believe Noble is not in. It's hard to... I like Noble, and I see what West Ham are saying when he's getting the squad, but even I would take Wilshere over Noble, because I think, as Hugh's saying there, he has the certain qualities that you might need in a tournament. I know, Roy, you're sort of pointing out the form he's been on. Jack Wilshere started 1 game this season, but I still would take Wilshere over Noble. Is it not the same logic as me saying, well, then we should take Luke Shaw? Maybe. Luke Shaw hasn't started any game. Since his injury, of course. It just seems a bit of a nonsense to me. I'm not saying that Jack Wilshere isn't a great player. Yeah. But I just think that it has to be based upon the season. Is that not what international football essentially is? It's a recognition of the season that you've had.
I think that you have to strike a balance between form and where your real talent lies. And Jack is undeniably one of the most talented midfielders in the country. On his day, if he's fit, I think that's what Roy's done. He's taken the risk and hopes that he'll be able to get 90 minutes out of him.
Samin Zaman on YouTube on the comments, thank you very much for your comment. He's saying Defoe. Now, maybe you could have used that Wilshere space for Defoe, but at the same time, 4 strikers already in there, Rashford going along. Maybe Rashford's taking the role that Defoe would. A pacey striker. Yeah, I think that's probably what's happened. I think Defoe... I'm obviously going with my own logic here, which is a meritocracy. Yeah. But Defoe's definitely with a shout. Been on form. He's been on form. He scored that many goals for a team in relegation. And he's had a really successful season in terms of the most that he could have achieved is keeping Sunderland up. That's the equivalent of winning the league. He's done what he could possibly do. Jose Natu. I butchered your name there, apologies. On YouTube said, thoughts on Hodgson picking Rooney for the squad TFR? He was always going to pick Rooney. There was no other question about that. Oh, Barnaby's going to be on Skype. Is he on Skype right now? Yep. Barnaby, can you hear us? Hello, mate. How's it going? Oh, I can't hear him, unfortunately. I wish I could, but I cannot hear what he's saying to me. Looks like he's on the train back from Newcastle after a very sad and depressing day yesterday for Spurs fans. We'll come back to Barnaby when we can hear him. I can't quite hear him at the moment. Back onto Rooney though. So, I mean, what do you make of that? It was always going to happen though. He was always going to be in the squad. There's no question.
I mean, he's the face of English football, really, as far as the marketing around the world goes.
Very true.
And it would be, again, kind of very difficult to ignore the experience that he's got, whether he is going to, be the leader, the real leader out there, or whether he's going to have such an impact on the pitch, we don't know. But again, I think it would be silly not to take someone with that experience, because on his day, he is truly world class.
And he's the captain as well. You've got to take the captain.
Do you?
Come on, then. Why are you not going to take Wayne Rooney to the Euros?
Because I don't think he's earned his place in the team. I think that the form of Harry Kane and the form of Jamie Vardy means that Wayne Rooney is completely redundant.
Say Rooney is going to compete for that position, though. He's not going to be playing up front. But he's going to be playing behind the striker.
I think that we need to be very careful that we don't go too forward-thinking as an England team. Of course, we want to see England score goals and go gung-ho, but the idea of playing, I think that we'd be far better off having, the sort of system that Tottenham have employed with Dyer holding and perhaps Drinkwater holding alongside, rather than an extra man going forward. I'm not convinced Wayne Rooney deserves to start this England team.
Very interesting. A lot of West Ham fans chiming in. Noble, Carroll, Antonio should have gone. Also, shouts for Cresswell, Aaron Cresswell. Yeah. But I think that'd be hard to put him in ahead of Bertrand and Danny Rose on that left side. That'd be a little bit.
This is only showing how much English football is coming on right now.
Yeah, very true.
You've actually got a competition for places.
Yeah.
People are asking about Walcott. What do you reckon about Walcott missing out on the squad? I think if he'd have got in, that might have been even more controversial than, say, Delph or Wilshere. But what do you reckon? Did Walcott deserve to be in there?
I don't actually know as it goes.
Good.
I honestly believe that he's made a fantastic decision to pick in Andros Townsend, who has really shone since he's gone to Newcastle.
Okay.
I don't think Walcott deserves it. He rarely plays in his favoured position. I think 1 in 50 starts, and he's basically a sub. It wasn't even in the squad yesterday. So I have to say, if it's form, what they potentially bring to the table, and I've been so impressed with Townsend that the balance is just heavily outweighed.
Okay.
There.
Townsend over Walcott, you'd agree with that one?
I would certainly agree. I don't quite know where it's all gone so wrong for Walcott. I think that there was a time when he was a great player, a good few years ago now, but I can remember him linking up brilliantly with Van Persie. They seemed to really have it, and I think he got injured, and he's never come back. And I think what he's got, which England fans will never forgive, he's a bottler, isn't he? In terms of challenges. There was one where he went in with Kabul, and Kabul kind of planted his foot and was worried about the challenge. The challenge never came. You're like, come on, mate.
Let me say in Theo's defence, he made a fantastic start to this season, and he was part of why Arsenal were doing so well at the very beginning. Okay. Started playing up front and was scoring lots of goals. However, when injury happens and the form doesn't really translate and he's not getting the chances, I think it's the right choice.
Yeah. Pablo, which one? Picking Rashford is like picking your son when you're the manager. I think that's a little bit harsh, potentially. A little bit harsh to say.
Really harsh, yeah. Really harsh.
I think, Rashford obviously has been one of the breakout young players of the season.
Is it too early?
Potentially, but it does seem to be a thing with England. We always take that one young, promising player.
They generally do well.
Yeah, 2012 it was Oxlade-Chamberlain, it was the Ox. Before that Walcott. Look how well that turned out. That worked out really well. Rashford though, what's your thoughts on Rashford, Roy?
I think he's brilliant. I think he's burst onto the scene. I think he's done really well. He's scored what I think is crucial with these young players. It's not about scoring sort of the fourth goal in a 5-0 win. It's scoring huge goals away at your rivals. United beat City. He was the reason. It's when you're scoring goals of that magnitude, you're ready to play international football.
Okay. Next question, by chance. Worst ever England manager. Hodgson makes me like McLaren. Adam Rowland. Again.
Oh no!
Let's calm down. Let's take it down one.
Whoa, steady.
McLaren didn't get us to a major tournament, whereas Hodgson.
Do you remember 08? Do you remember watching 2008? You just weren't involved. It was so depressing.
I feel like that's a slight overreaction, Adam. Slight overreaction. What do you think of Roy Hodgson? Because I was having this discussion with someone earlier. Not a fan of Roy Hodgson. Doesn't think they can cut it for England. Haven't shown it at club level. Without no silverware, really, no major silverware, I should say.
No,
England. Do you think we need to, after this tournament, we should maybe move on from Roy?
We'll see how we get on in this tournament before we make that decision. But no, I don't really like Hodgson. I think that there are certain things that he does well. But I went out to Brazil. I went out to 2014, and we went out there and we were quite optimistic going, and I think that he got it all wrong. I think he left Ashley Cole out of his squad, which was ridiculous at the time. We played a back line of Terry. Sorry, not Terry. It was Cahill and Jagielka.
Yeah.
And then it was just embarrassing. You know, Luis Suarez had the time of his life in the game against Uruguay in wherever it was, Sao Paulo. And I just don't think that he gets the nuances of the squad right. I think that he makes big errors.
What do we make of Fabian Delph? Because this is probably shaping up to be more controversial than Jack Wilshere, of course. We've got a comment here from Man City Rules Aguero. This is a City fan. Delph is not good enough at City or for England. Now, it is a controversial one because Delph, when he's played for England, played in a few qualifiers before his injury. I thought he looked quite good. I think he does a certain job, and I think that's why Roy's put him in. I mean, would you saying he doesn't deserve to be there?
No, I don't think he does really, but I think that he probably offers something that perhaps nobody else does.
Okay.
For example, if I think Eric Dyer should start every England game, but if Eric Dyer were to be injured, there's nobody else to play that position aside from Delph.
Okay.
So it's cover.
What do you make of Fabian Delph being in there?
He doesn't get in the team for me. Debatable whether he's in the squad or not, but not in the team for me.
Who would you potentially have over Fabian Delph then? Were you thinking maybe not a straight swap, maybe someone in a different position, a defender? Or
Yeah, it's all about the formation. Like we were just talking about what Roy does. I've actually been quite impressed with him since the World Cup.
Yeah, he's a good qualifier.
Because you can argue it's the competition we're facing, but I really think that he's adjusting well. He's really experimented with the youth, and we're a much more pacey, lively outfit right now.
Very true.
So I'm hoping that can continue. And I've just got to laugh. People are actually thinking that he's worse than McLaren.
No, far,
it's a little bit over the top.
Yeah.
Let's try Barnaby again on the train down from Newcastle. Barnaby, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you quietly. How are you?
Okay, I'll try and speak extremely loudly. We won't talk about the game yesterday. Let's talk about all the Spurs players that are in the England squad. Kyle Walker making the cut wasn't expected, really. What do you make of the squad that's been announced?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't catch a lot of that question, but I assume we're talking about the spine of the England squad that is made up of the Spurs players who were clearly thinking about that England squad yesterday when they got battered 5-1 by Newcastle, and I had to watch it. I'm pleased also for Andros Townsend. I'm glad he's got a run. I think we look a bit one pace, so apart from Sterling, I think we're a bit one pace. So I'm glad he's got a look in, and I'd actually take Rashford ahead of Sturridge. I think Sturridge is a bit kind of attitudey, and I like Rashford's pace and the way that he seems keen to press and play.
Which Spurs players would you like to see start? Try and be as unbiased as you can, but who do you think deserves to be starting in that England squad for the first game?
Yeah, I heard the word Spurs and start, so I'm going to go with which Spurs players do I think should start?
Well.
I would definitely start Dyer, I would definitely start Rose, and I would definitely start Ali, and I would definitely start Kane. So basically I'm talking 4 of the 11. Basically, let's just call it Spurs, shall we?
Yeah, I think so. Can Spurs win Euro 2016? That's what we're really asking. What about Danny Rose?
No.
You think you'd rather
Absolutely not.
You'd rather stick Bertrand ahead of Rose? Is that what you're saying, Barnaby?
Danny, did you mention? Is it Danny Rose?
Yes.
Yeah. I think Danny Rose. He was in the team of the year. I think he's the most in form left back. I mean, Ryan Bertrand's a solid choice. Champions League winner, of course. Rory will like me saying that. But I think Danny Rose offers you a bit more going forward. And his defensive attributes have improved no end this year. I'm on a train in case you couldn't work this out. That's why I can't hear a word you're saying.
Are you on the way back from Newcastle? Can you hear me say that?
Yes, but let's never mention that word again.
Are you never going to go to Newcastle ever again? It's the town's
I'm never going to even mention the word ever again.
And how, finally, last question, how well do you think England can do? Now the squad's been announced, you've seen the squad. How far do you think they can get with what Roy's picked?
Yeah, I mean, I literally didn't hear anything of that question.
Can we win Euros? Can we win the Euros?
No, I don't think we can.
Good.
That's the spirit. Yeah.
I like the positivity.
No, I don't think we can. But let's be honest, with Roy Hodgson's recent record, let's just hope we get out of the group.
Okay, Barnaby, thank you very much for joining us. We'll cut it off there.
You picked the wrong day to ask me a question which you want a positive answer.
Yeah, that is very true. Very true. Thank you very much, Barnaby. Yeah. Trying to be as positive as possible. I like it. Let's look at some of the questions that you sent in on YouTube then. Alexa Vujic said, you guys think Kane, Sterling, Vardy front line could work? Vardy and Sterling on the wings. Ali just behind. Dyer and Drinkwater as the CDMs.
I think it's nearly the exact team that I would go for, but I wouldn't leave Barkley out.
Okay.
So I love your team.
Really?
I'd have Barkley involved. Yeah.
Over.
I'd have to change it up slightly. No, not over Ali.
Okay.
Absolutely not. But I think that Barkley and Ali let's let these players that have had a good season. They're young and they're hungry and they're keen. Let's let them flourish.
M4W said, who starts in the midfield? Where is the quality we used to have gone? I assume he's referring to the so-called golden generation. If they do pick a 4-2-3-1 formation, who's going to play in that 2 for you? Is it Drinkwater alongside Wilshere maybe, or? Yeah.
It's, you know, that's a difficult one, really. Again, it's about the formation that he's playing, but if they are playing 2 holders, then I do like Dyer. Like Dyer. I've been very impressed with him. I would have to say Wilshere over Drinkwater, even though Drinkwater's been on fire.
So Wilshere, Dyer maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that combo. That's a nice combo. Adam Liner said, we're going to win the Euros as long as Spurs players aren't in the squad. Ah, ha, 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 ha. I think it's basing that on yesterday.
Fair enough, I'll have some of that.
Yeah. As a Scot, it's irritating seeing England waste so much potential, says Scott Crawford. Defoe is, in particular, a born goal scorer. Rooney at the moment isn't. Can we have him if you don't want him? I don't think it works like that, unfortunately, Scott. You can't have Jermaine Defoe. But, yeah, we've spoken about that. Maybe he does deserve to be in there on form, but I think at this point, maybe someone Rashford over Defoe makes sense. Take him to a major tournament. Sam Woodhouse, I think England will make semi-finals at best. That sounds optimistic. What do you reckon? How far are they going to go? You're obviously going to every single England game. You're going out there to follow
I am going to every single England game. I've got a conditional ticket for however far they get.
Nice.
So if they get to the final, I'll be there in Paris. Can they get... I think it's an interesting tournament, this one. It's a different style. For the first time in ages, I think we can be really confident England are going to get out of the group because practically everyone does. If we then get one more round, then it's anybody's, isn't it? Remember, I saw Chelsea win the Champions League in 2012, so I believe anything is possible.
Okay, interesting. How far do you reckon England can get?
I think it's really difficult to say right now. I think football has been thrown on its head, and you've got the rise of almost anti-football, where teams like Atleti and if you want to throw it back to Greece or Leicester, whoever, you don't need much of the ball to win football anymore, and that means that it may not be the players who've got the most quality on the ball that come through. So
England are going to win it.
It might be
we're going to be fine. Jack Butland is a big loss, says Blair Craig on YouTube. I think,
massive.
Tom Heaton obviously getting in ahead of him, but it would have been great to see him there. What is the future of English youngsters? Is it bright, said Zamin Zaman?
I would say very bright, actually. I would say very, very bright.
Questions we've got here. First up, Jason Hughes, should England use the 4-3-3 formation? What do you reckon?
It depends on what sort. If it becomes when you haven't, if 4-3-3 when you have the ball, but then sort of a 5 in midfield when you haven't got the ball, then I think it's something that could work well, because we aren't as good as some other teams. So we're going to have to be conservative. We're going to have to defend a lot. We're not going to have a lot of the ball. You can't lose every midfield battle because you're a man down.
I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but based on the squad that he's picked, I feel like a 4-2-3-1 would be the best to get the max out of those players. You know, having that centre attacking midfield position, whether it's Rooney or Ali, I feel like that's the place to get the best out of some of these players. Next question. Thomas commented, I think France or Germany will win the Euros over Belgium, my country. That's an interesting one. France seems to be the favourites at the moment. They've got an incredibly deep squad, so it's going to be interesting to see who they pick. Who's your pick to win it, quickly?
Pick to win it? I suppose I have to go France.
They
win.
France.
It has to be France. They won it when it was last in France, didn't they? We won the World Cup.
Who's your early shout? Early baseless prediction.
Early shout. I'm going to go for Germany.
Interesting. What do you make of the fact that Germany maybe don't have the star striker they need to win this tournament?
I don't think you need one. I honestly don't think you need one. I think that they are a side that are so good on the ball that they will creep up and they'll force teams to sit in their final third, and I don't think at that time you need one. Plus, they have got a couple of options. You know, Thomas Müller isn't that bad.
He's decent. He's not bad. I'll take him.
And the last time I saw him, Gomez was on absolute fire for Besiktas. So there's no reason why they don't have a couple of options there.
I'll just repeat the squad. A few people asking what is the England squad because they've come late. It's Fraser Forster, Joe Hart and Tom Heaton in the goalkeeping positions. We've got Ryan Bertrand, Gary Cahill, Nathaniel Klein, Danny Rose, Chris Smalling, John Stones and Carl Walker as the defenders, so Phil Jagielka missing out. In midfield we've got Dele Alli, Ross Barkley, Fabian Delph, Eric Dyer, Danny Drinkwater, Jordan Henderson, Adam Lallana, James Milner, Raheem Sterling, Andros Townsend and Jack Wilshere. A lot of names in there. And up front at the moment we've got Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford, Wayne Rooney, Daniel Sturridge and Jamie Vardy. So that's a 26-man squad. It has to go down by 3 names after the friendlies, I believe.
This is a great game.
3 people
Who's out?
kicked out.
Lallana.
You'd kick out Lallana. That's your first shout.
Lallana's out.
Delph, I assume, is not going to get all the way.
But Delph does offer that cover that nobody else does. If anything were to happen to
Eric
Dyer or Danny Drinkwater, you need a second choice. And also playing that position, you are putting in a lot of tackles, you are likely to get injury.
Does this mean Rashford's not going to actually get to go to the tournament?
No, Rashford will go, I think. I don't think you put him in this far if he doesn't actually go.
Over Sturridge, say. That's
not a chance.
That's where because Daniel Sturridge is probably.
He's world class on his day, and I'm sorry, it's just
he's so good. You wouldn't take Rashford over Sturridge, would you? Even though
there's no denying Rashford's got quality. You
know,
he's quick, he's young, he's obviously intelligent, he's clinical in front of goal.
Do you trust Sturridge with injury?
That's what I was just going to say.
About
the
Wilshere
3 games in a week. Are we back to the original point? Do you think Sturridge has it in him to play the 3 games in a week?
I don't think Sturridge will be starting though if he goes. I think he could be an impact. So brings that pace on, deadly finisher. I think it's going to be Harry Kane starting or Vardy. Maybe the two of them together, who knows? So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see who drops out of that squad. Maybe Lallana, Townsend maybe is a potential one. But he brings the pace that we might be missing.
That on that side as well. There's not much cover on that side.
Okay. Interesting, very interesting. I believe we have Greg Johnson from Squawka on the line to discuss the squad with us. Greg, are you there? Can you hear us? You can hear us, can you, Greg? I'm shouting as loud as I can. Greg, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yeah.
Cool, okay. What do you make of the England squad then? So this is the 26 provisional squad, 26-man provisional squad. There's 3 names to be dropped before the tournament starts. First off, what do you make of the surprise inclusions such as Andros Townsend, Jack Wilshere, Andros Townsend and Marcus Rashford? So he's in there twice, Andros. He's in there twice. So good they named him in the team.
I think I quite like the idea of Andros Townsend in there. I mean, since he's gone to Newcastle, he's done brilliantly. He moved from London where he wasn't getting as many games as maybe he wanted, and he's been fantastic. I think he's really deserved it, and it's a wild card that makes sense, I think.
What about Fabian Delph? Another surprise inclusion that many people weren't expecting to see in there. Do you think he deserves to be called up into this provisional squad?
I'm not so sure. I would have personally taken Jack Cork instead, which might be a bit of a left field shout for people. But I think if you look at Jack Cork's stats, he's got 5 defensive actions per game. He's played loads of Swansea. He's made 84 interceptions in 35 appearances. He's got a 76% take-on success rate, which is usually what you expect of attacking midfielders. So he's not just a destroyer; he brings the ball out well, and he's a good alternative to Eric Dyer. Because Eric Dyer's obviously going to have to play in defence if we get any injuries back there, because we're only taking 3 centre-backs. So, I mean, Delph's been out of the team at City because he's been injured, so I'm not really sure about the logic of taking him personally.
You might need to move your camera phone a little bit further away from your face, because we haven't got much of a view of your face there, Greg. I don't know if you can hear me now. You can't hear me either. We can't see you, Greg. Move your phone a little bit further away from your face so we can see you. Ah, there you go. There you go. What about Rashford then? Do you reckon Rashford will be going to the tournament, or do you think he's going to be one of the names who's going to unfortunately?
I'm not a fan of Rashford going. I think England have got a long-term structural problem of signing up youngsters piecemeal to the full team, and it doesn't do them any favours in the long run. It adds pressure. And this talk of they can come in and they can enjoy themselves, they don't. They always end up building themselves up into a platform where they get knocked down eventually. So I would much rather Rashford be kept along with the other youngsters, as Spain and Germany do. Bring them up as a whole generation later on. Then they've got the chemistry. They can play together as a unit rather than as a kind of a piecemeal team that you're dropping them into a squad that have already got an identity, they've already got older players. I'd rather keep Rashford out of it. But I mean, the guy's in the form of his life in his first season, so at this rate he's going to be going, isn't he? Crunch time, Greg. Who are the 3 names you would drop from this provisional squad to make your final squad? I think for dropping, I wouldn't take Delph. I'd drop Rashford. I'm not sure about the third one. Maybe Wilshere. I mean, I actually think is a player that, you know, no other England player can do what he does in midfield, but is he going to be competitively match fit? I'm not sure.
Okay. Greg, thank you very much for joining us. You're going to be live on Facebook right now on Squawka.
Indeed, yeah.
You're going to be discussing it all for the next half an hour or so, giving us some more statistical analysis. Greg, thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you get over and like Squawka on Facebook so you can watch the stream if you're watching as well. Greg, thank you very much.
Cheers, thanks.
Greg, thank you very much. There you go. Look, they're going to be live. They're live now, in fact. Look. Continue the debate over there. Go and like Squawk on Facebook. Guys, thank you very much for joining us for this England debate. 26-man squad is announced, then we're going to see who gets dropped out by Roy Hodgson. For now, though, Rory, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Keith, thank you very much for joining us.
Absolute pleasure.
We'll see you next time on the Football Republic.